Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Leafie, A Hen into the Wild, which is not proper grammar, but I can excuse it because this is a foreign film. It is a Korean animated film, um, and it is a donation award for Isabel. So thank you for donating, Isabel. The reason we're doing this week is simply because me, Isabel, and Venom were on the Discord trying to figure out where to find this, specifically in the Korean version, the original Korean with the subtitles. And it eventually just got down to where where I downloaded it at that time, and it's just like, you know what? I already downloaded it. Let's just get to it this week. It was pretty much that. Um, so yeah, we are getting to this. I don't know anything about this movie except that it is a Korean animated movie, and I guess it stars animal characters. I've seen a lot of those though, so that doesn't really say much. The title, I assume Leafy is the name of the character. I do know the name was titled something different in the English release, so I guess maybe they changed the name of the character. But A Hen into the Wild. So hen is a female chicken. Um, and I guess the character goes into the wild. There's not really much else to glean from that. Hell, that might even not technically be accurate. I don't know. Um, so yeah, I don't know what to expect really from this at all, but we are reacting to this in the original Korean. We do have subtitles, obviously. Um, I'm excited to see what this is about. It's not a long movie, but it's pretty, I feel, average length, about an hour and a half. Some of that is probably credits, but yeah, pretty average for a lot of animated films. Um, but it seems like just this weekend's films are both animated. Just ended up turning out this way. Uh, Obviously, you're seeing this on Sunday, so yesterday you would have seen that I put up Across the Spider-Verse. That one was planned. Like, that one was planned basically the instant I heard about the streaming release date. It's like I planned that, okay, we're gonna get to this that same week. But this was just kind of up in the air. I was actually gonna do a different movie, but then again, like I said, we were working on like finding the Korean version with the subtitles, and then finding a downloadable version. It's just like, I already downloaded. Let's just get to this. It just made sense, you know. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what this is about. Is it gonna be something in the vein of like Charlotte's Web, or uh, Rockadoodle? I think that's what it's called, right? Now I'm second guessing that. Yeah, it's called Rockadoodle. Chanticleer is the name of the character in it. Yeah. Is it going to be something like one of those types of movies? Or is it going to be just more cutesy and fun, something like the Animal Crossing movie? I don't know. I don't know what to expect with this. I've seen a lot of different types of Korean media, so it's like, yeah, it's just as diverse as anywhere else. So it could be anything. Um, I guess we'll just give it a shot and see. So let us get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this movie was not the best movie. It didn't have, like, the most strong, cohesive story. There were a couple plot points that I'll talk about that were not really followed through on too much. And there were maybe a couple things that also didn't seem entirely necessary. Um, or maybe at least could have just been cut down a bit. But while this movie wasn't like the best or anything, I don't think it was necessarily trying to be. I think this movie was just trying to be sweet, wholesome, but also give kind of a pretty notable message about family. That family is not necessarily just the ones that you're born into, the people that you are a part of biologically. um, Family is who you choose. It's the found family trope, which, as I consistently make pretty clear, is my favorite trope. Um, Leafie is Greenie's mother. There is no question about that. Like that's very much made clear by the film. They may be different species, but without question, she is his mother. And the movie doesn't want you to question it. That it doesn't want you to think otherwise. Again, it makes it very clear that that's the case. That despite his biological parents having both been killed by the one-eyed weasel, he is, in the end, still the son of Leafie. And in the end, that's the only family he ever knew. He never even knew about his biological parents. And it didn't matter to him. Like, he knew he was different. He understood that he basically understood that he was adopted. But it didn't matter to him because she's the only mom he ever knew and the only mom he ever needed. It reminds me of a couple things. One thing notably is Hunter x Hunter. If you've seen the anime Hunter x Hunter, you know in that, or read the manga, that Gon doesn't really care about who his mother is. Because the only mother he's ever known and the mother that he loves and cares about is his Aunt Mito. She's all that he needs in that regard. Like, while he's out to search for his father, in terms of his mother, like, he has no interest in finding out who his mother is. Because he has a mother. One that loves him and one who he loves. And so it kind of reminds me of that. But various other things as well. And throughout the film, you see multiple instances of others around trying to, like, talk down to her, call Leafie crazy or weird, or even to Greenie. Say things to him because of the situation. And mistreat or mock or whatnot, hate on him because of all of that. And in the end, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. They know that they're each other's family, and that's all they care about. The other thing it kind of reminds me of, the other very specific thing is, in my opinion, the greatest found family series out there, One Piece. It reminds me of Nami, specifically. And Nojiko, to a degree, as well. In One Piece, Nami and her adopted big sister Nojiko were both orphans of war. Nojiko found Nami, like, when the former was only like a toddler practically, and Nami was only a little baby. And they were found and taken in and adopted by a soldier named Belmare. And she became their mom. And none of them are related. Not a single one. Nojiko is not related to Nami in any way. Nami is not related to Belmare, and so on and so forth. None of them are biologically related. And yet, without a single question, they are family. And in fact, that's actually a big point of Nami's backstory. The fact that her mother, Belmare, was her mother, despite them having no relation. There's even a scene where Nami, as a kid, snaps at Belmare, saying you're not really my mother, and it makes Belmare mad, and they have a fight, but Nami realizes she was wrong in the end. And in the current day of at least that arc, Nami and Nojiko get to reunite and be sisters, and their village is finally saved. And they get to have peace in their mother's memory. And it's without a question that Nami and Nojiko are her daughters. It's never argued, it's never debated, it's just fact. And you could even say as well, Gensan from the village is their father. That one is never even stated, and he's never actually with Belmare at all, but he is 100% a father to Nami and Nojiko. It's not even a question. And so it's I also got reminded of that here. I also like in the end, I mentioned in the reaction how Leafie and the One-Eyed Weasel came to terms with each other and let each other's babies go. I don't know if I'd say they gained respect for each other, but they gained an understanding as mothers. Both scared for their babies, and they both let each other's children go. And we see, like, right after that, like, One Eye is telling her babies, it's like, I need to hunt, I need to be able to feed you, to be able to nurse. And it's like, you understand. She's a mother who's just trying to take care of her babies. She's nursing, she's trying to feed them. And she needs to hunt to be able to do that. I never actually saw One Eye throughout this film as like a quote-unquote bad guy, as a villain. She was an antagonist, and yes, she killed Wanderer and his Lady Duck. But I always saw it as like, these are animals, and weasels are predators. They eat and survive off of their prey. It's the circle of life, basically. It's not like it's like Scar from The Lion King, who is actively villainous. No. It always came across as a hunter who is trying to survive, looking for food. And at the end, we find out that, at least eventually, there's even more of a reason for it. And it's understandable. It recontextualizes a lot about her character. And I like that. It doesn't stop you from being sad over the fact that she did kill Wanderer and everything. He was a good dude. But she had to eat, and it was the prey she came across. She even basically said that at one point in the movie. The second to last confrontation with Leafie, it's like, I just kind of came across them, and like I did with you now. It's like, it's just the prey she comes across when she's hunting. It's just how it works. There's no antagonistic or evil intent. It's not like that. You could say the rooster had more evil intent. Or the other birds who were bullying Greenie before. They had worse intent than the weasel. The Weasel was just seen as an antagonist, a villain, because she killed Greenie, or not Greenie, Wanderer and Wanderer's lady. That's the only reason you ever see her as truly a villain. Plus, what others like the mayor say about her. But in the end, she's really not. She's just a weasel, just hunting for prey to survive and eventually to feed her babies. So I like that this movie recontextualizes the relationship of things between these animals. It makes it feel more real and believable. And obviously, you're not supposed to take too much into account for like realism here in terms of like how it connects to humanity, because it's like obviously there's certain things that just can't and just won't connect to people, and some things that it's like, let's be honest, if you think hard enough about, won't really work in that regard. Like you can view the entire family situation and everything very easily, like that's one. But there's certain things in this that's just like, if you try to take the entire movie as an allegory for human experiences and stuff, it's not gonna work. It's just not. So you kind of have to pick and choose a little bit there. Which ones are like speaking to you specifically, and which ones are clearly meant to speak to you. Again, the family thing is definitely meant to speak to the viewers, but like certain things, it's just like, no, these are just animals. You also have to realize. You just have to, again, see it depending on which aspect it's going for and what is clearly intended here. But I mean, see it any way you want to. It's obviously subjective on how your viewing experience goes. The visuals in this were great. Like I swear, there's like a combination of 2D and 3D here, a little bit, and definitely some painted backgrounds that were gorgeous. The voice acting was pretty good. Not the best I've heard, but pretty good nonetheless. And I really liked the score. The music really worked with the emotions of different scenes and really sold a lot of it extremely well. Yeah, like I said, it's not the best movie. It does have some issues. Like, there are certain plot points that are brought up and don't really come back, or if they do come back, they're not really relevant. Like the one yard duck that ends up becoming the new boss, it's like he still has the hat later on, but there's nothing about him actually being the boss at that point. It's just like, oh, he's just still walking around with his other fellow yard ducks, and nothing's really changed otherwise. He's not really bossing anyone around or acting like a boss in any way. And there's just various other things that are just kind of like brought up, like Leafie's sickness. Leafie is said to be getting sick, and it's very implied that it's because she's a domesticated hen who is having trouble surviving in the wild. But there's no payoff to it whatsoever. I'm not saying she had to die, but it's just there's no payoff. At the end, when her and Greenie separate and go their separate ways, when Greenie leaves with the flock, she's just still there and everything. It's like I almost kind of wish it showed like a maybe like a 1 year later thing with the flock returning, and maybe like touched on whether or not she survived or got better. Like, even if they just said like, oh, she got better over time and everything, it's like that would have been fine. But it's like it's just like she's just randomly sick here and there, and then it just never amounts to anything. Plus, there's some things that it's like, why were these put in? Like, the yard ducks in general, and a lot of the yard stuff, like, it's like, I get at the beginning it was in there in order to establish that Leafie didn't really belong in the yard and that she needed to go out into the wild and find her own life and everything. I understand. I get the point there. But what was the point in bringing them back time and time again, consistently? Like, why were the yard ducks made into actual characters? Was the dog? Why was the rooster? It's like they really didn't need to bring those back. Like, even the part where Greenie ends up going to the yard and ends up getting caught by the farmer and almost getting his wings cut off. Why? I mean, the only thing that I can think of that is a reason for that even existing is just to show strife. Just to show that these characters are going through hard times. And that could be shown in a lot of other ways, especially in the wild. So it just felt like it was kind of unnecessary. It didn't feel like it added anything to the movie. I don't know if I would say it took away much, but it just felt completely needless, and I never really felt like it connected to a lot of the rest of the film. Maybe that's just me, but it just didn't feel like it was that important or interesting. Like, it wasn't even really that entertaining to watch those scenes, honestly. But it's not that big a deal, I guess. It didn't really, like, destroy my enjoyment of this film or anything. I'm glad that this movie, I don't know who this movie is initially, like, marketed towards, but if it is marketed towards kids, or if kids just end up seeing it, I'm glad that it doesn't shy away from death. There's a lot of animated kids movies that will shy away from that, like, or even if it like mentions death, it won't like show it. But this movie showed like dead ducks being carried away by the weasel and everything. Like, it showed death. And I can understand that could be scary to some kids, but it's something that I feel like they should be able to experience. Because if they're not ready for that, if it ever does, God forbid, happen in real life, they're not going to be able to handle it well. And I'm not saying you should be able to, like, you know, live with someone dying. Like, you should be sad. You should be upset. It's actually kind of creepy if you're not. You should never be okay with someone dying. But being able to be prepared in case, again, God forbid, it does happen, will help. Because it's also not a good thing to stay in a perpetual state of mourning. Like, you definitely should, and you like almost kind of need to take a time to mourn. It's important. It's healthy. But if you like stick to it too long, it can also engulf your life and just hurt you in your everyday like situations, and just you don't want to mourn to the point where it hurts you. And speaking as someone who has had multiple family members pass away, my uncle, my grandfather, my great aunt, not great grandmother, great aunt. I've had multiple family members pass away. I've had friends die. I've mourned, and it's hard. It's something that I wish I didn't have to go through, and I wish no one had to. But I'm glad that I understood what death was when these things happened. Because if I hadn't, I would have been in a much worse state. And it would have affected me in bad ways that I know my family members who passed would not have wanted me to be in. My grandfather, my uncle, my great aunt, they wouldn't have wanted me to be stuck in mourning forever. And since I was knowledgeable about death when these happened, I was able to have a healthy mourning period. But I was able to continue on. And I say continue on because I hate when people say move on, because you never move on from a loved one's death. It will always stick with you, and it will always be just a real hit in the heart. You never truly move on, but you continue on. You continue to live and continue to make the most of your life. And that's all you can hope to do in those kind of situations. And we see it in this film. Leafie sees Wanderer, who she had grown attached to, die. And she mourns. She cries for him. But she also sees that he left behind something that needed to be protected. And so she continues on. And she doesn't move on. She continues to think about him. Continues to keep him in her mind and heart. But she continues on for this baby. To be the mother that he needs. And to live life. Which was her goal from the very beginning. Like I said, this movie can touch on some real things that you can definitely take to heart. And I like that. I like that some of its themes and all can be applied to real life. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's not the best movie or anything. It had some issues here and there. And even in general, it's just like, it was just a nice, wholesome, entertaining film. It wasn't meant to be anything like super special. And it didn't need to be. It succeeded at what it was. And hell, it made me cry in the end. Like, I cried. I felt pride watching Greenie win that race. I was invested in these characters. And that's always a positive. So, yeah, I had never heard of this film before, and I probably never would have if it wasn't requested. So thank you to Isabel for requesting this as a donation reward. But I would love to hear your thoughts, not just Isabel's, but everyone watching this. What did you think of this movie? Let me know down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.